Hey everybody, this is Trevor,
And this is Bill.
and this is
Bill and Trevor's Excellent Adventure. That'll throw everybody off.
Yes, it did. It had to have now.
Well, it has been, and it is an adventure, and it's an adventure for me because I'm continuing to learn stuff.
Mm.
So before we get into the next thing in John, there are a few points I want to talk about relative to stuff that I've said in the past.
Okay.
We'll get the embarrassing part over with first.
All right.
So first of all, I made a point sometime back about work versus regular work and how the Pharisees, talking about, you sinned on the Sabbath. And I said this was not regular work.
Mm.
Well, I have learned that regular work, that phrase doesn't even appear in my ESV.
Oh, okay.
And so I wondered, where in the world did I get that from? It is in my NIV, which I read for years. But as I continued to dig into it, I found out that the Hebrew expression is translated inconsistently in the NIV. Sometimes it says work, sometimes it says regular work, but in the Hebrew text, it's just work. So I need to erase everything I said about regular work.
Fair enough.
Nevertheless, I still say that what Jesus did was not specifically proscribed in the law. But Jesus' point was, so what? Even if it is, my Father does it.
Yeah, exactly.
The next thing I want to clarify was things I said about Son of God. And I had made some expression that, the Old Testament refers to Israel as being God's son and individual Israelites as being God's sons, plural. And yeah, that's true. But looking at the actual text that we're talking about, it's pretty obvious that, Jesus was making claims above and beyond what a regular human being can claim. He wasn't talking about because like you, I am a child of God. He's saying I have a very unique role or status. And that is what they were getting all hyped up about.
Yeah.
So I should erase all my comments about that because the Pharisees, they were complaining about what they should have been. Because if Jesus was not who he said he was, then what he was saying about himself was blasphemy. Jesus' point was, well, look at the evidence and decide whether I'm blaspheming or not.
Yeah.
Then the next thing I need to correct myself on, I said something, I think, about this healing at the pool being miracle number 3 out of 7. Nope. Going back and counting them, no, that was miracle number 3. Miracle number 4 is coming up next.
Okay, there we go.
So yes, I'm embarrassing myself in front of all my friends and people I don't even know, but it's an adventure.
It's an adventure. That's why we call it that.
This is not necessarily a correction, but it is feedback that I got from somebody who listens.
Okay.
As much as I'm hyping up the Blue Letter Bible, I should point out that, yes, you can download it for free, but this organization exists on donations. So if you're going to get the kind of value out of it that I'm always talking about, I really should be encouraging people to make those donations. So yeah, make those donations, whatever you think it's worth. And no, I am not being sponsored to say so.
There we go.
Okay, that's enough for today's pain.
All right. Well, here we are in John 6.
Yes.
Now.
The next thing we're going to read about is similar to the previous chapter. A few verses about the miracle and a whole lot more verses about the aftermath.
Yes.
Do the math.
Well, I can't wait to read about it.
Well, we'll read about it. I'll say one more thing. This is the only miracle. I'll probably correct myself later, but I believe that this is the only miracle that is talked about in all 4 Gospels.
I never thought about that, yeah.
The stuff that John points out, is stuff that not necessarily everybody else thought was, a big deal, but John says Jesus did a whole lot of stuff, and I don't have time to tell you everything I saw. But this one stands out. But the reason John's presenting it is because he wants to talk about what happened after. So let's go read.
All right.
Who's first?
I'll start. Why not? Going in verse 1, you let me know when to stop.
Okay, I'll stop when I get excited.
Sounds good. Sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee. That is the Sea of Tiberias. And a great crowd of people followed him because they saw the signs that he had performed by healing the sick. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover festival was near. When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Philip answered him, "It would take more than a half year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite." Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many?"
Let's stop here. I can't help myself.
Yeah.
A certain amount of this is striking my sense of humor again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you visualize what this scene looks like?
I think it seems, at least from Jesus' perspective, it's quite funny. These people are scrambling to figure out how they're going to feed 5,000 people. Is like Jesus just thinking in the back of his head, "Wait till they see this."
And then I think about it from the apostles' point of view. What are they thinking? You see this great mob of hungry people.
Thousands.
Lord, don't you think we need to dismiss these folks?
Man.
And then Andrew says to him, "There's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish." And I heard a commentator say one time, and if he had only had the discussion to shut up after that,
Yeah.
he would have gone down as the most faithful man in the whole Bible.
Oh, you would have been easily.
But instead he says, "But what are these for so many?"
Wow.
Okay, keep reading.
Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. Jesus then took the loaves and gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they had all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten.
And stop here, and as you visualize this scene in your mind, describe to me what you see.
I see flabbergasted apostles. And I see thousands of people who are just absolutely oblivious to the fact that they had no idea that these people just spawned this fish. Not
Yeah.
these people, sorry, Jesus spawned this fish out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They're just like, "Oh man, they had food ready. Wow, how nice!" And the apostles are just mind blown, speechless, going around giving up all this food.
Yeah, that's exactly how I visualize it. And again, I say, poor apostles. Their poor little minds were getting blown
They're
all
getting shattered
the
They
time.
have no idea.
And it gets to the point where you wake up in the morning and says, "Man, what is he going to do today?"
Oh man, what an adventure that must have been on.
And here's another thing, though, from the point of view of the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
They are there and they don't have anything to eat, and they know that they don't have anything to eat,
Yeah.
and they are there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What does that kind of tell you about the crowd?
It tells you the crowd was seeking. Crowd really is. They want to hear from Jesus.
Well, yeah, you kind of wonder about what was going on in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I thought that I read somewhere else, and I'm looking for it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, verse 2.
Okay. Well, because they had, yeah.
Say it out loud for the people that don't see what we're seeing.
And a great crowd of people followed him because they had saw the signs he had performed by healing the sick.
So I'm trying to understand the mindset of these folks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe Some of them brought loved ones who needed healing,
Yeah.
but I don't get the impression that that constituted the bulk.
I was gonna say the 5,000 men. Does that count women and children? I don't think it does.
No,
Yeah. So the thousands of people that showed up can't all be for healing.
it's like you have never seen a circus like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't see this every day. We got to come and check it out. The way John presents it, it doesn't even seem like they came for the preaching.
Mm.
Maybe they did. Maybe they were able to come to the conclusion about who Jesus was based on the miracles, but that's not the way John sets the story up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we'll hold that thought as we read about what happens next. Go ahead and pick back up again.
Okay. Let's see where I was.
I think you were in verse 13 last.
Yes, I was. All right. After the people saw the sign Jesus performed, they began to say, "Surely this is the prophet who is to come into the world." Jesus, knowing that they intended to come and make him king by force, withdrew again to a mountain by himself. When evening came, his disciples went down to the lake, where they got into a boat and set off across the lake for Capernaum. But by now it was dark, and Jesus had not yet joined them.
Let's pause for here. There's a detail that I think is interesting just for visualizing the scene that's mentioned in the Synoptic Gospels, but John doesn't make any deal about it. Jesus forced the apostles into the boat. There's a word, I forgot which gospel says it, but he made them get into the boat, and the Greek word is compelled them by force to get into the boat. So the scene that I visualize here is almost like a mob scene.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily come to that conclusion in the beginning, but once they saw him sit them down in military-sized groupings and feed everybody, suddenly they recognized, the army travels on the stomach. This guy is unstoppable.
Yeah.
He can feed us.
I never even thought about that.
And so they're ready to make him king by force. And Jesus has to defuse the situation because that's not the way it's supposed to go down.
Nope.
And I kind of suspect that the apostles were part of the problem. And so Jesus has to separate the apostles from the crowd.
Yeah.
And he makes the apostles go get in the boat and get out of here. And then he dismisses the crowd. And then he has to go find someplace to pray.
Yeah, he used to leave. He had to get out of there so quickly. Oh, wow. I never thought about that, but I could see the apostles, especially after just seeing that. They could definitely be part of that problem.
And it's not essential to what John wants to point out, but I just think it's interesting. Keep on reading, please.
Will do. Okay. A strong wind was blowing and the waters grew rough. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus approaching the boat, walking on the water, and they were frightened. But he said to them, "It is I, don't be afraid." Then they were willing to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the shore where they were heading.
Now, again, immediately does not mean in 21st century terms, I got a digital watch, I snap my fingers and suddenly we're teleported to the other side.
Yeah.
People without clocks and watches have a different perception of what immediately means.
Yeah, definitely.
But it does imply that the calming of the lake or the sea was so abrupt relative to their previous experience that you could not disconnect the cause from the effect.
Yeah.
So they get to the beach. Keep on reading.
All right. The next day, the crowd that had stayed on the opposite shore of the lake realized that only one boat had been there, and that Jesus had not entered it with his disciples, but they had gone away alone. Then some boats from Tiberias landed near the place where the people had eaten the bread after the Lord had given thanks. Once the crowd realized that neither Jesus nor his disciples were there, they got into the boats and went to Capernaum in search of Jesus. When they found him on the other side of the lake, they asked him, "Rabbi, when did you get here?"
Now we get to the reason why why John presents this miracle. So after all of this, everybody says, wait, Jesus isn't here. We know he didn't get on the boat. We know where he hangs out. Let's go to Capernaum.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to Capernaum, and now.
And now, Jesus answered, "Very truly I tell you, you are looking for me, not because you saw the signs I performed, but because you ate the loaves and had your fill."
Wait, what?
Because he fed them. I see.
What do you see?
I see. They're not there looking for him because of what he's done, but rather what he's given them.
Well, I mean, what he given them, isn't that sort of what he's done?
That is what he's done. So it's the same. It feels like it could be the same, but I feel like he's making that distinction very specifically.
Well, tell me about the distinction you feel like he's making, and especially I'm curious, why is he making it?
Well, now why is a good question. I actually am still trying to figure that out myself. But I know that Jesus sees in the hearts. He doesn't see
Yeah.
people, at face value. And so he's saying, yeah, you saw the sign that I definitely, multiplied the fish and the bread, but do you care that I multiplied the fish and the bread? I don't think you do. I think it's because you ate it. And just because you ate it, now you know I'll feed you. So you just want to be here. And then he goes into now the next part, but we can wait to read that.
Now go ahead and read, because Jesus answers my question.
Oh, there you go. Do not work for food that spoils, but for food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. For on him God the Father has placed his seal of approval. Then they asked him, "What must we do to do the works God requires?" Jesus answered, "The work of God is this, to believe in the one that he has sent." So they asked him, "What sign then will you give that we may see it and believe you? What will you do? Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat."
Wait, what? What are they saying?
Well, they're talking about the Exodus.
Yeah.
They're talking about how they ate manna in the mornings.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how God gave them that. So
Yeah.
are they saying now, well, it sounds to me like they're saying, well, you've already given that sign. So I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they're asking
So
him
what's
again.
up?
I don't know. Why do they keep asking him? They already did it.
You don't have any ideas?
Well, what sign will you do? Honestly, no.
So
He's already done it.
I'm going to take a swing at it.
Go ahead. Yes.
We'll point out that there's no question about whether Jesus did a miracle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The question is, what does the miracle mean? Because these are signs. I pointed out a while ago, and I'm sticking by this, the word that gets translated miracle in our English translations is either going to be dynamis, which is dynamite is God's power, or else it's a word that literally means sign. It's something that's supposed to point you to something else, and they're not reading it.
Yeah. They're not.
They're getting fed, but they're not figuring it out.
Well, it's funny because it's like they read right over it.
Yeah. And I think that's probably where we need to park for today.
Yeah.
Because what we need to talk about is, why do people do that? It's not just them.
Mm-hmm.
Today, people need to figure out, what do the signs point to, and why do we respond the way we respond?
That's so interesting. Well, I like it, yeah.
Well, I will leave you to ponder that yourself before the next exciting episode of Bill and Trevor's Excellent Adventure.
We'll see you guys.